My name is Emma, and I was 26 the morning my parents handed me a cardboard box containing the only belongings they said were still mine. The tape scraped against my fingers as I opened it on Grandma's old kitchen table, a table that should have still been inside the house she had promised me since I was 16. My mother calmly explained that the family had decided it made more sense for them to keep living there because you were just doing what family does. I clicked my pen once, a habit I never noticed until stressful moments demanded order. I looked around at walls that already held new photographs, different curtains, and furniture moved without asking me. They acted as though the transfer had always belonged to them. I did not argue. I asked one question about the paperwork, and both of them answered too quickly. I knew enough to recognize rehearsed certainty. As a CPA, numbers rarely lied, but people often did. I admitted I had made one mistake before that day. I had trusted verbal promises instead of asking to see documents while Grandma was still alive. That single decision now carried a price I could not yet calculate. When I picked up one folded envelope from the box, I noticed something written in Grandma's handwriting that no one had mentioned. Welcome to Calm Drama Stories, where quiet women rarely win by shouting because patience often leaves the strongest record. My profession as a CPA had trained me to trust ledgers, signatures, tax filings, and timelines more than explanations. That habit would become the only weapon I ever needed. Every time I felt pressure building, I clicked my pen exactly once before reading another page. The soft click echoed across my apartment as I emptied the contents of Grandma's box onto the dining table. There were insurance notices, utility bills, handwritten reminders, and property tax receipts reaching back several years. My parents believed I would accept their version because I always avoided arguments. They misunderstood silence as surrender. I admitted another weakness to myself. I often delayed uncomfortable conversations because I believed keeping peace protected everyone. Instead, it protected the people taking advantage of me. The smell of fresh coffee drifted through the room while I organized every document by date, amount, and signature. I built separate folders for taxes, ownership records, and correspondence. My parents had relied on emotion. I preferred chronology. Every missing page mattered as much as every page I already possessed. The more organized the evidence became, the less convincing their story appeared. I had spent most of my life believing dependable people should stay quiet. When I was 12, Grandma asked me to help organize old family photographs after everyone else left for a holiday picnic. I remember the rough texture of the dusty albums beneath my fingertips while she thanked me for always staying behind without complaint. That became my role. I watched younger cousins enjoy weekends while I balanced family errands, bookkeeping, appointments, and repairs. When my parents needed someone to drive Grandma to medical visits, they called me. When property taxes were due, I prepared the paperwork. When household expenses exceeded the budget, I quietly adjusted my own plans instead of theirs. I even postponed graduate school for 1 year because Grandma needed daily assistance after surgery. I never regretted helping her. I regretted believing sacrifice automatically earned honesty from everyone else. Grandma often told me the house represented stability, not money, and she repeated that promise several times over the years. I accepted her words without requesting copies of her estate documents. Looking back, that was my greatest mistake. The distant ticking of Grandma's hallway clock still echoed in my memory whenever I questioned whether I should finally stop carrying everyone else's responsibilities. I never discovered the truth during an argument. Instead, it arrived through paperwork. While requesting certified property records, I received copies showing the ownership history of Grandma's house. The paper felt unusually smooth beneath my hand as I flattened each page with careful movements before clicking my pen. One filing dated day 41 after Grandma's funeral referenced an affidavit that carried a signature I immediately questioned. Attached correspondence revealed my parents had submitted documents claiming the property should bypass me because I had supposedly declined the inheritance. I had never signed such a statement. A second letter from Grandma's attorney mentioned an earlier version of her will that had disappeared from the official estate packet. I compared dates, initials, and witness names without speaking to anyone. The inconsistencies aligned too neatly to be accidental. I felt no urge to call my parents. Anger would not improve the records. Precision would. For the first time, I understood why both of them had answered my simple questions so quickly inside the house. They already knew which facts could survive conversation, and which could not survive documentation. I quietly created another folder labeled Evidence and placed the certified copies inside. I worked alone for 27 evenings, assembling every record into a timeline. The faint humming sound of my desktop scanner became the background to my investigation. I built a spreadsheet tracking $18,420 in property taxes, $7,965 in maintenance expenses, and $214,880 listed as a county's assessed property value. I requested certified bank statements showing Grandma had continued paying insurance premiums until day 11 before her death. Court records documented filing dates that conflicted with my parents' explanation. I ordered certified copies of utility transfers that occurred only day 9 after the funeral, long before probate questions should have been resolved. Every receipt received a matching document reference. Every signature received comparison notes. I admitted another flaw while reviewing the files. My attention to work had sometimes distracted me from noticing changes inside my own family. I had trusted routine because routine felt safe. My parents relied on assumptions. I relied on evidence. By the time my folders were complete, every page supported the next one without contradiction. The story told by the documents sounded nothing like the story my parents repeated at family gatherings. Looking back, the warning signs had always existed. My father insisted on collecting Grandma's mail before anyone else. My mother discouraged conversations about estate planning by saying paperwork only caused conflict. One cousin casually mentioned seeing movers outside the house before probate had finished, but I dismissed the comment because I wanted to believe my family acted honestly. The cool evening air drifted through my apartment window while I reviewed my timeline again, clicking my pen after each completed section. I realized my silence had helped hide patterns that deserved attention. If this story reminds you how important documents can be, stay with me and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Sometimes the quiet details become the loudest evidence. I contacted the attorney listed in Grandma's earlier correspondence and confirmed several procedural questions without accusing anyone. Every answer strengthened the timeline. My parents still believed the matter had ended weeks earlier. They had no reason to expect I would arrive carrying organized proof instead of arguments. I knew the next meeting would not remain calm for everyone. The confrontation happened during a family gathering held after the annual memorial lunch for Grandma. Plates clinked softly across the dining room before voices replaced them. I placed one organized binder on the table, smoothed the top page flat, and clicked my pen. I calmly asked whether everyone had seen the certified property records. My father interrupted before anyone answered. My mother insisted I was embarrassing the family. I continued turning pages one at a time, matching dates with signatures and county filings. As each document appeared, their voices became louder. Mine never changed. Grandma's attorney, who had agreed to attend after receiving my evidence, quietly explained the legal inconsistencies to everyone present. Then my aunt looked directly at my parents and said, "Those dates cannot all be true." The room fell silent for only a second before my father began shouting that family loyalty mattered more than paperwork. Nobody responded to the shouting. They kept reading the documents instead. I closed the binder only after every page had been reviewed. Nothing else needed to be said. Real life offered fewer dramatic endings than television promised. Some relatives quietly stopped calling me. Others admitted they had suspected something but avoided becoming involved. My parents never apologized. Instead, communication slowly disappeared into months of silence. The warm afternoon sunlight filled the attorney's office as final probate corrections were completed according to the court's instructions. I clicked my pen once before signing each required page. The house eventually returned to the estate process exactly as Grandma's documents intended, but trust did not return with it. Repairing a title proved easier than repairing relationships. One cousin apologized for ignoring early warning signs. Another simply changed the subject whenever my parents were mentioned. I accepted both reactions without demanding more. I understood that accountability often arrived unevenly. I also recognized my own responsibility. I should have requested copies of Grandma's estate plans years earlier instead of assuming promises would remain protected forever. That lesson stayed with me longer than any courtroom paperwork. Life moved forward, although not everyone chose to move with it. Months later, I stood beside the same kitchen table where I had first opened the cardboard box. This time, the table belonged inside the home Grandma wanted me to have. Morning sunlight warmed the wand while I smoothed one final document flat and clicked my pen before filing it away. Friends who had helped me through the legal process gathered for dinner, bringing homemade food, laughter, and conversations free from hidden agendas. They were the family I had chosen instead of the family assigned to me. I learned that loyalty should never require surrendering truth. I also learned that calm persistence could outlast the loudest accusation. If this story stayed with you, subscribe, share it with someone who needs a reminder, and check on someone you love today. Quiet strength often goes unnoticed until it changes everything. I looked once more at Grandma's handwritten envelope, now safely preserved beside the official records that protected her final wishes. The box that once carried loss had become a place for truth instead.